All right, so a real number x is a partition number for a function f if f is discontinuous at x or f of x is equal to 0. And partition numbers determine open intervals on which f does not change sign. So constructing a sign chart, what we kind of did on this previous problem that we looked at. And so we're going to do this on a more complicated scale. We're going to use kind of more application type problems. And so basically, we're going to be given a function f. We're going to find all partition numbers of f. So find all numbers of x such that f is discontinuous at x. So the rational functions are discontinuous at values of x that make a denominator 0. And then we're going to find all numbers of x such that f of x is equal to 0. For a rational function, this occurs when the numerator is 0. So again, we're going to look for the ones that make the denominator 0, like we did before, and also the numerator 0, and the denominator is not 0. Okay. And then we're going to plot the numbers found in step 1 on a real number line like we did before, dividing the number into intervals. We're going to select a test number in each open interval, determine in step 2, that's this one, and evaluate whether each sign is positive or negative, and then construct a sign chart to determine, what interval fits what we want it to look like. So again, this is going to be more of an application type problem that we're going to use with this one. So here it says a bakery estimates its annual profits from raisin, I think that's supposed to be bread, I must have had a typo there, to be P of x equals negative 0.001x squared plus 7x minus 6,000, for which values of x does the bakery make a profit selling raisin bread? Okay, so other than the typo, that looks good. And when we do this, the easiest way to do this is factor. If you remember on the one before, we had things where we could factor or we set it equal to 0 and solve. So depending on what we want to do here, we can do it either way. If we factor out a negative 0.001, then we're going to end up with what? We're going to have an x squared, and then we factor out a negative, so that becomes a negative, and divide by that, so that's going to be 7,000x, and then if we do that, that's going to be plus and 6,000 plus three more zeros. One, two, three zeros. All right. And now we need to factor this. And so that's going to be x and x. They're both going to be negative, and probably it looks like a 6,000 and a 1,000 are going to be the two keys, because if I multiply those together, I get that. And if I add them together, I get the 7,000. All right, so that will give me my two zeros. And so now I can draw a number line on this one. Now I don't have a rational function. I just have a polynomial, so that's kind of nice. I just have to do that. And so now we have something at 1,000. We have something at 6,000. And now we just have to kind of come up with test points in between. So let's do a 0. Let's do, I don't know, 3,000. And let's do, I don't know, something, let's go far out there. How about 10,000? Okay. So these are zeros. And now if we plug in 0 into this, what do we get? Well, we get a negative 6,000. So that is going to be over here, negative numbers. Okay. Now, if we plug in 3,000, what are we going to get? Okay, so now we have to use our calculator. And so what do we have? That's going to be, oh, actually, we can just think about it. 3,000 minus that's going to be minus 3,000. That's going to be 3,000 minus that's going to be 2,000. And then we're going to have a negative here. So that's going to be a positive number. So that's going to be positive. If we do 10,000, that's going to be a positive. That's going to be a positive, and then we have the negative out front, so that's going to be a negative. So it looks like to make a profit, that has to be in this region here. Okay, so our profit is going to be between 1,000 and 6,000, it looks like. And which values of x? So if we want to write it as inequality, we would say 1,000 less than x less than 6,000. And that would give us are values of X that are going to fit this. And again, you can do other ways to find this other than this. You can use your calculator and do numeric solver. You can do, whatever, but this was just the easiest way I could see straight away to do it. Plus, it's easier then to plug in the values here to kind of see what you have. And that way you can get your pluses and minuses, and then it's overall it's that, and you actually don't have to do a calculation. All right, so hopefully that helps you with 9.3.